And welcome back to the Conscious Contact podcast. My name is Genay Peavey, and I'm here with my co-host Susan Sanders. And today we're going to talk about FOMO. I think more importantly,
JOMO.
JOMO.
Should we define these before we get too much further? Yeah.
You're better at that. Go for it.
Sure. Yeah. So FOMO is the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
And JOMO is the joy of missing out.
I feel like extroverts are screaming right now. Like, don't turn off if you're an extrovert and you only have FOMO and JOMO is not in your vocabulary. Because I tend to get that feeling from a lot of extroverts. Because it charges them up to be around people.
Mm-hmm.
So when they have a situation where they either can't go or weren't invited or whatever, kind of drains them. Whereas me as an introvert, if you cancel on me at the last minute, like part of me is like, oh, not again. See previous episodes. But the other part of me is like, yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I do think, well, I always think everyone should listen to the whole episode.
Yes.
Because there's always more than the surface topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something for everyone.
Yes, agreed.
With every topic that we cover. So when you say someone cancels at the last minute, woohoo, I get to stay home.
Yes.
But isn't there part of you that is like, oh, well, I'm bummed I am missing out on meeting up with that person, connecting with that person?
Depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it really is like, I didn't really want to do this anyway. It's like a social nicety or like I don't really know them that well. This was just like a getting to know you thing. And that kind of happens a lot. But if it's someone that I like, most of the time it isn't, I don't get that feeling because we are past the surface level. We can talk to each other about it and they can say, hey, I just don't have the bandwidth to chill today or leave the house or meet up or whatever. Can we reschedule or let's FaceTime later or hop on a phone call? I do that with my friends all the time. And I can go, oh, thank you. I didn't really want to leave the house anyway. I miss you and I want to see you. However, I'm in the same place today and we are, on the same page.
Right.
But no, the only times that I can... When I think about like fear of missing out, I think that just kind of left my body shortly after getting in with the group of ladies that I'm in with now, and getting sober and then getting in with the group of ladies I'm in with now, because before that I lived with this idea that, life is just going to pass me by and, if I'm not there, I'm not living or I'm going to miss this huge big deal thing or they're going to wonder why I'm not there. And so much of that gets alleviated when I realize I'm not the biggest thing in the world and no one really is going to notice if I'm missing. Like, I'm sure they love me, but it's not like the world's going to end because Genay's not there. It's not a form of rejection if someone doesn't invite me to something. And my life is so good. I don't worry about like missing something that could possibly make it better now, which is where I was stuck in. It was always on to the next thing or that party's going to change my life or make me feel better or meeting with that person's going to give me a sense of accomplishment that they wanted to hang out with me or I'm going to make them think I'm the best person alive or, all of that stuff slowly started to leave in early sobriety. And now I just, again, this is not the positive, like redirection. This is still, I need to go back to the middle ground, but I just don't care. I just don't care.
Don't care about what?
Don't care if I'm left out or I miss something or if someone thinks a certain thing about me or if they talk about me when I'm not there. Like, who cares? And I don't think that came until I got real friends, until I got super comfortable with myself and learned to love myself. Because if I didn't have that, I would still care about all those outside inputs, which is very hard to live that way.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have let go of FOMO. You don't fear missing out.
No.
So you are really do you see them as opposite sides of the same coin, that you embrace the joy of missing out because you don't fear it?
I think so, and I think you're probably the first person that I ever heard use JOMO. I think it was during Artist Way.
Mm,
And I just hadn't heard it articulated that way before.
yeah.
Because, Luke would be like, well, don't you want to go do this? Or don't you have anybody to hang out with? And he wasn't saying it in a mean way. He was just like,
Don't you have
are
somebody
you
get out of my
okay?
face and go see?
Yes. Like, do you have a life? And he meant it in the sweetest way
Sure, yeah,
possible,
yeah.
trying to watch out for my mental health. And, I
Yeah.
was still early sobriety during that time. And he's not wrong. I
Don't you
do
wanna
need to leave
shower
the
and
house,
leave?
right? Yeah, yeah. I do need that motivation to leave the house, which this weekend is jam-packed. I have
Mhm.
a cookie and ornament exchange, and then the literal next day, I have just like a big potluck with two separate groups. There's a little overlap of the ladies, but
Yeah.
I love to do things, but I understand what my bandwidth can handle,
Mhm.
what fills me up, who my people are.
Yeah.
Is it really going to be worth it to me?
Mhm.
Which I think is really nuanced and really hard to figure out. And I
Yeah.
feel like you're pretty good at that too, though. No?
And this is proof that I am faking it super well, everybody. Ugh.
No?
No. I am like I need to get FOMO like tattooed somewhere, like an anti-FOMO or something, because this is a problem for me.
Really?
Yeah, this is a huge problem because I desperately want to be invited to a party that I desperately don't want to go to.
I got chills because I totally get that. That's deep.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound it at the beginning, but that's really, really, I mean, as introverts, I think that is the crux of a lot of our problems.
It is. And I have wept at looking at people's parties that I wasn't invited to.
Yeah.
And my husband is super confused because he's like, I thought you didn't want to, like, I thought you didn't like that person.
Right?
I thought you didn't want to be included in that group. Like, I'm confused here because you're crying when you come home from those gatherings, but now you're crying because you weren't invited. I'm like, I
Yes.
know. I just want to be the one to say no.
These poor men.
Yeah.
They're like, you
Sorry.
are screw loose up in there. But I mean, it's true. I totally get that.
Yes. That to me is the crux of FOMO.
Yeah. Yeah.
The unhealthy side is when I'm crying when I come home and I'm crying because I'm not invited. And I don't necessarily think, well, with everything, there's a continuum
Yeah.
of the extremes, the fear of missing out and the joy of missing out both have their own extremes.
Yeah. I think in that statement, there's both.
How so? Say more about
I
that.
think that you have fear of not being included, but you want to be able to say no and have the joy of not going.
Yes. And at the same time, I have a hard time saying no because I'm afraid I'm disappointing people by turning down their invitation.
Oh, no.
Yeah, exactly. And I've gotten much, much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's discernment.
Yeah.
Because who is just inviting everybody in their Facebook following list
Yes. Ooh.
versus I truly want Susan at my table because of whatever their intention is.
Yeah.
And then also the discernment on the other end of me accepting that invitation because I've looked at what is leading up to it and going into it and coming out of it. Like you said, this week I have this and such.
Yes.
Like, have I considered all of that? But then there's also like, do I accept this? Because then what if because there's always the unknowns, like the things
Yes.
that get added to life later on. So what if I say yes to this? This is going to sound terrible, but what if I say yes to this and something quote unquote better comes
Better
along?
option.
And I just kind of have to weigh that as I go. So yeah, I don't do this well. I'm getting better, but I
Yeah.
also have a lot of I would say maybe, I think the feeling is guilt. I need to start bringing my feelings wheel to these
Yeah.
recordings.
I mean, we
'Cause I
need
don't
to
know what
put it
this
on the
feeling
wall
is.
behind us. Spin it. See what you get.
Seriously, because it is a lot of them. It's a lot of different feelings. So spinning a wheel probably would be accurate.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just end up with a whole lot of feelings about it.
Yeah.
And so what I tend to do, and what I'm trying to remember to do, and this is when I'm in a healthy space, I can remember to do this, is just checking in with the true core self, little Susan, all of that stuff. And that's probably feels very woo-woo to some people. But what is my intention?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when I was growing up, I just kind of had to suck it up and go do what everybody else is doing. Because, you at a point you just can't leave little kids alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just go along with what everybody's doing.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, I'm not great at this.
I will give you some credit and toot your horn for you, because I have invited Susan to things before, and it's not in your wheelhouse. You didn't have the energy for it. You're very transparent about that, but you always say, please continue to invite me to things.
Yeah.
And I never take it personally. I'm just not that type of person. I'm sure there are plenty of people watching or listening that may, but
Yep.
that's their own thing, and it has nothing
I
to do with the
know.
rejecter of the said invitation.
Yeah.
But I never feel that way.
Mm,
Ever, ever, ever. Just because I know how hard it is to say no sometimes.
yeah.
But I think that is wonderful practical advice from your own doing,
Mm,
is if you can't and you do, like, it's just a scheduling thing or a mental brain space thing,
mm-hmm.
follow it up with, no, thank you for inviting me. Please continue to invite me to things.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the most honest way to go about it, rather than saying, hey, just so you know, this made me have a ball of emotions and I feel really bad for rejecting your invitation, and I don't want you to hate me, but I want you to continue to invite me to things, so maybe I should say yes to this. Instead of texting them that,
Yes.
with our internal
Mm-hmm.
wild west up there, just, being as honest as possible while still being a quote unquote normal human to the
Yeah.
other person.
Yeah, because no is a complete sentence.
Yeah.
And in text messaging, that could come across a little harsh.
I
No.
love when
Boom.
you text me no all the time, and I'm like, perfect.
Yeah. But I want to say more sometimes than just no, period.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll just say, no, I can't this time.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to explain all of the feelings. And so let me say this. You don't have to explain all the feelings, because I think sometimes when you have like that feelings vomit of this is all the things, I think you would accept that because there's always additional feelings when I'm responding to
Yes.
something. But it's also not fair for me to just assume Genay that is reading that text message is the Genay that is in a space to accept all that. And I think sometimes when we vomit all of our emotions onto someone, they are not in a position to catch that all the time.
Yeah, if they're not spiritually well,
Mm-hmm.
they could come back at you sideways.
Right. Or that's just a lot for another person to hold. Even if they're not
Maybe.
coming back
Yeah.
at you, that's just something that you're assuming that they're willing and able to hold that right
Mhm,
now.
mhm, mhm.
And there are a lot of people that, and I don't think this would necessarily pertain to you when I'm saying it to you, but there's some people that say, oh, well, now I have to do something with that. I need to say something, do
Aw,
something,
Yeah,
offer
yeah.
something up. And, I don't think that's a good assumption to always assume someone can take that from you. But then the flip side of that is I also don't want to say, here's my calendar to rationalize why I'm saying no to you.
Here's my scheduling software.
Right.
Before you invite me again, please check my availability.
Right. Because I can say no just because I have a date with the couch,
Mhm.
rather than no because I have tickets to something.
Yeah,
that
I
already have
love I love being able to have that kind of relationship with people, to say, no, I'm sorry, I have a date with Netflix tonight.
planned. Right.
Like,
Right.
and if they want to think a certain way about that, then that's on them. I don't live
Mhm.
my life in a way where I feel like people are questioning if I'm invested in our friendship just because I am honest about my energy levels. You
Right.
know, like I start any actual friendship that I start as me now, which is like such a gift
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want you to have, again, expectations of me being someone that I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
and this going sideways at some point. I want you to know who I am and I want to know who you are truly so that
Mm-hmm.
we can have true connection and friendship so that you can feel comfortable to just text me no or to say word vomit and can I call you, you know,
Right.
like both
Mm-hmm.
and it can be difficult to separate yourself from those emotions. Again, I don't have it would be better for you to speak on that because I don't have that problem very often because I just don't care in the best way possible.
Mm-hmm.
If whoever is receiving whatever I'm sending them via text message, which that's a whole nother episode. Communication via text message. Ooh.
Mm.
Um but I make sure I say everything in a loving way that is neutral of judgment or blame or whatever
Mm-hmm.
and show up as me, check my motives, all of that stuff before hitting the send button. And then if
Mm-hmm.
they want to take it sideways, I hope that they feel comfortable enough to say that to me
Mm-hmm.
so that I can assure them I I hate that you felt that way. I will make sure going forward that I take that into consideration
Yeah.
because I know that you, like, just for example, you are going to take things that I text very differently than like Luke would,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I
Right.
don't talk to you both the same way via text message because that would not be okay for you. That would not be okay. So that is kind of the other part of this, the FOMO and the JOMO. It's not just us. We are then involving our thoughts and attempted control of other people's feelings in both of these too,
Right.
which is that's a messy
Yeah.
playground to be in.
It does get messy. It does get messy. And what you said before about starting with your relationship with yourself and taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And the reason why we wanted to talk about this topic, FOMO and JOMO, at this particular time of year, so this is December 1st as we are recording this, it'll drop on December 4th.
Yeah.
All the holidays are we're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And that is where a lot of JOMO and FOMO and invitations flying around and expectations, all of this comes about.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about this now and why we thought it was important. And I think coming back to that, connecting with yourself and what what I need in this particular moment needs to be the first thought, and sort of a practical tool that I try to use is what we've learned in recovery of playing the tape all the way through.
Yeah.
So with FOMO, I get the invitation and I want to say yes because everyone else will be there and they will notice that I am not, and something super fun is going to happen. And I'm afraid I'm going to miss out on this super fun time.
Yeah.
So let me play the tape all the way through. There is one person I know, and let's say it's a holiday cocktail hour, like a drop-in open house. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's a holiday open house. And historically, I know that very few of my friends in recovery are going to be there. And it's going to be an event where alcohol is flowing because these are normal people and this is what they do. So my fear of missing out are who's really going to be there? Are these people where in the past I have had experiences where I truly felt filled up in a way that I left feeling filled up, and I left the other people, like I felt, you feel that connection with
reciprocity.
people.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not saying like I have to go to every interaction expecting to, fill people up.
But maybe, like.
I guess I want to. I'm not to that point yet where I need to go there. But I also don't feel anymore like I need to show up and be the court jester and be the entertainment either.
Yeah.
I have let that go, and it sneaks its way back in, but I have let that go. So if I play the tape all the way through and I see myself standing at that party where I'm not making a connection with anybody, probably Paul has said no because he could give a shit about going anywhere and leaving the
Uh-huh.
house. He's
Luke
like,
is the
no, I'm not
same.
going. So I'm by myself.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
The person that invited me is probably being a good hostess. So she's bebopping and scatting all over the place
Yeah.
because that's her role and she loves it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's alcohol flowing and I'm feeling weird about it. And clearly I've been thinking about it for days leading up to it.
Ugh.
So I know that I'm already in a spiritual pothole.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good for me to be in.
No.
So that is an invitation where I see, okay, if that's how I feel, August in a wool sweater, cheap wool sweater, I need to say no.
Yeah.
So that's an example there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the joy of missing out, if I could kind of play that tape all the way through, if I get this invitation and I say, you know, I've already designated that as the day I'm going to finish The Crown. I'm not going to go because I'm going to like bundle up and sit on my couch and all that. Because I'm going to enjoy missing out on that. If I play the tape all the way through and, well, gosh, but that's an invitation I want to accept, but I've already said this is a night I'm going to spend by myself. But am I going to be joyful missing out? Because I love that group of people. I want to exchange cookies and ornaments with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So am I really being stubborn and staying home? Or is this the joy of missing out?
Oh, so much nuance and
discernment that needs to be involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes a long time to like build that skill and keep it sharp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is such a good point. I really want people to hear. It takes a while to build this skill, which means you're not going to get it right every time.
And you probably won't get it right a lot of the time.
Right.
you know?
Yep.
It is truly really looking, again, like going back to your core pillars that you've set for yourself of your morals and values.
Yes.
What are they? Does watching The Crown fill that up right now? Or are these your people?
Right.
That's kind of always what I go back to anyway. Like if I'm invited to anything.
Yeah.
Are these my people or not?
Yes. And how does that connect to your values?
I do not want to waste I don't even know how to say this without sounding very aggressive.
Your external, your precious extrovert energy.
Yes, because it's very small.
Yes.
I don't have much. And then parties involve small talk in large groups where everyone's talking at once. I have auditory overwhelm issues. It's always I'm starting real bad if you just say party. So you had to be my people for me to want to like dive into that and be able to know that I'm going to get filled up and therefore be able to be someone that is filling others up and be of service as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a fine balance. And just from going and living a life with no meaning and no purpose prior to getting sober and having a new life now, and it goes back to like spiritual gangster episode. I'm not going to waste my time on people that I know aren't my people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to like, if Luke has a work event and I have to go, I'm not going to be an asshole when I go. But if I'm the one choosing, especially during this time of year, I'm just going to say no if I know those aren't my people. Or I'm not going to be able to go there and be of service in some way. Because I've been asked to help volunteer with the New Year's Eve celebration for our district. And I don't want to do that at all. I want 0%.
And your core value is service.
Yes.
Yeah,
so I'm going to do it.
That.
And I'm shifting my heart posture on that and understanding that that is a huge value for me. And the person that asked me never asks me for anything. And it is part of me staying sober.
Right.
And we normally don't have plans for New Year's Eve until 2 hours before midnight anyway. And I'm always like, why doesn't he ever plan New Year's Eve? This is an answer to my prayers. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, and it doesn't look like it from the surface. Again, it is so nuanced and there's no situation that's the same. And I have to sit with it
Mhm.
to know if this is for me or if it's not for me. And a lot of stuff is just not for me.
Right.
And that's okay. That might be, I need to, if this person, this is my only practical advice in this situation. If someone invites me to a big gathering and they're the only person I know, or like the only person that I care about,
Mhm.
sorry, that I have invested a deep relationship with, I will say no to the opportunity to the party, but then I will make plans with them
Mm.
alone to
Mhm.
have a holiday dinner or lunch or go see the lights at Tanglewood or the
Yeah.
Science Center or the Balls and Friendly Center. I will make our own holiday party.
Mhm.
And again, this goes back to like showing up as my true self. Most people know that I really don't like big group settings for all the previously mentioned reasons. I would much
Mhm.
rather hang out in a group of 3 of us or less. So 2 or 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Well, I want to go back to the very, very first thing you said about how there are going to be people that hear the introduction or just read the headline. Hopefully, they've made it this far.
Yeah, because I'm sure they're shocked at this point.
And people that think that this topic is not for them,
Yeah.
because I would challenge, and I had to write this down to remember how this is going to go. So with FOMO, I wonder, and I just kind of want to float this idea to anybody that's listening. If you are physically present, but you're not fully engaged, you are still missing out.
Yes. So much yes.
So
Yes.
you could be at the party because I don't want to miss out, so I'm going to go.
Mhm.
But what you're missing out on is being fully engaged with yourself and the people that matter to
Yeah,
you.
and the present moment, and how sad is that? Like, you're
Yeah.
taking time out of your life for this, and I know it doesn't seem
Right.
that big on the surface,
Yeah.
but that's a big deal, and again, from losing so much of my life to my alcoholism, I don't have the want or the pull to go somewhere where I know I'm not going to be of service or I'm
Mhm.
not going to connect with the people around me either because we're just different people or because they're not at that level or I don't know them that well or that's not the situation for it.
Yeah.
I just don't have enough time in my life left, Susan. You know, like
Right.
you and your book list, like that's how I feel about human interactions. Like
Yeah.
I've wasted so much already.
Yeah.
It's and again, that's why it's so important for the discernment part of it because I could say yes to lots of things and go and just sit there and stare at the ceiling or be on the edge of the conversation and just ha ha
Mhm.
ha ha, you know, and
Right.
then leave.
Yeah.
And I had no impact, no deep conversations with them. I didn't
Mhm.
connect with anyone on a human level. I didn't connect with myself because I'm thinking, when can I fucking get out of here?
Right.
I'm disrespecting the invitation in a way because I know I'm not going to participate
Right.
or I can't or they can't or what, what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important
Yeah.
because that's the whole point. That's what these parties are for. This is what this season is about is, truly connecting with the other people near you.
Mhm.
Service, humility, giving, like all of that. And if you
Yeah.
just go to go, that's not the right motive, to
Right.
just show
Right.
up and be seen or, oh, they're going to miss me if I'm gone or wonder or talk about me or whatever. That's not a good motive for going somewhere.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so the flip side of that motive, and again, I had to write it down because I wasn't going to come up with it in the moment. With JOMO, the
Yeah.
joy of missing out, are you calling it self-care to stay home, or are you tipping over into the unhealthy realm of isolation?
Ugh. Ugh.
That
That's a whole episode.
that also is a question that desperately needs to be asked
Yes.
and answered very honestly.
Mhm. Mm. I mean, we just need to sit with that
Yeah.
for a while. I think we have that on the docket. Self-care versus
Self-soothing.
yes, yeah,
Mhm.
which I think we can touch on that a lot cuz
Yeah.
again, if you're not in touch with yourself Or if
Yeah.
you're thinking all, oh, this is just surface level, I don't need to think too much about this. I mean,
Mhm.
maybe,
Yep.
but if you're one of us, or
Meaning if you're in recovery of any sort. Yep.
yes, or if you're just someone with big emotions, introvert or
Yeah.
extrovert, it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. If you're a sensitive person,
Mhm.
you do need to be careful with those kind of decisions because
Yeah.
it is sticky, it is nuanced, it is not black and white, it is very gray.
Yeah.
And bounce it off of someone else too. Like if I'm
Mhm.
struggling to make a decision, kind of like the party you were talking about,
Yep.
I'll just call my sponsor.
Yeah.
And the first thing she'll say is, "Did you pray about it?" I'm like, "Damn it."
Right.
A party? She's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah.
Um, what are your motives for going?
Mhm. Yep.
Asking yourself
Intention.
the why
Yep.
5 times, all of that.
Yeah.
And damn if that doesn't shed a lot of light on it
Mhm.
and make it a little bit easier to tell the difference. If I'm really, what is my true fear?
Mhm.
Because I think even the joy of missing out, there's like a under. I mean, that's everything. There's an undercurrent of like, what am I afraid of?
Mhm.
If I give up my alone time, what would happen? What does
Right.
this week look like? What have I already given up? What all, whatever the situation may be. If I
Mhm.
go out, what am I afraid is going to happen when I get there? All of that.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I would think that, well, what I have found for me, I'll keep it that way. And I wonder if people could connect with this vibe of I'm just feeling wiped out. I need to take care of myself, enter self care if I am justifying it that way.
Yeah.
Then what is the invitation I'm turning down in order to engage in that self care?
Yes.
Because if it is a crowd that fills me up, maybe the self care is actually going
Yes.
in my pajamas, my coziest sweatpants, my
Yes.
new fleece lined yoga pants, whatever it might be.
Yes.
Um, Truly, what is the intention of that self care?
Yeah.
And am I isolating in an unhealthy way?
Yeah. Yeah. Like what? Because anything that you say yes to is saying no to something else.
Right. I'm glad you pointed that out. Yeah, that was one thing I
Yes.
thought I would never forget to say on this one, but I forgot. Yeah.
You and
I didn't
I
even
heard
write it
it
down.
from you 100%. So just know that it lives in my brain.
Yeah.
But it's so true. Like, what am I giving up to do this? Is it
Mm-hmm.
worth it in the grand scheme of things? Is it that deep? If it is,
Yeah.
I need to go sit with it for a while.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not immediately text someone back.
Yeah. So what's your go-to when you so if you're in front of somebody and they say, "Oh, you should come over on Friday."
Let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you know me at all, I'm a paper planner type of person. Like, yeah, I have a calendar on my phone, but
Yep.
my paper planner is where I live and die. And that's where all the details are and the self care
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. So I don't have my planner with me. When I get home, I'll look at it and I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I do have the majority of my life in my calendar, and I'm probably going to shoot myself in the foot because people listening to this probably going to, because I'm so important. Everyone who invites me to things is listening. Ugh, Sue.
That's why
But
we do this.
I say the same thing, even though I do have my calendar.
Yeah, and that's
Because,
okay.
right.
That's totally okay. And I think it's socially acceptable. I think that
Yeah.
that takes the pressure off of you.
Yeah.
And if for some reason you don't feel like saying that, just say, I don't know what my schedule is going to look like on that date.
Yep.
Let me plan a little bit more and I'll
Mm-hmm.
text you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other tool that I really want people to hear, and I'm probably just saying this to myself, it is okay to change your mind.
Yeah.
Hell yes, I want to go to this gathering. It's going to be fun. It's
Mhm.
fun every year. And I
Mhm.
get there. Oh boy, I really overestimated today, Sue.
Yeah.
when I accepted that invitation.
Yeah.
I have yes, I want to say goodbye to my hostess, but there are times when I just have had to leave
Yeah.
and I have texted that person and
Yes.
say, I had to go. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yep.
Sorry I couldn't find you to say goodbye.
Yes, I've done that over and over and over again.
Yep.
I think that that's wonderful.
Yep.
And that's why I show up early, leave early.
Right.
I drive my own car
Yeah.
most of the time.
I park way far down the street so I don't get boxed in on the
Yes.
driveway.
Yes. Like, if you know this is part of your makeup as a human, just
Yeah.
be prepared for that. Quit trying to be like, yes, it's wonderful to have better ideals for yourself.
Mhm.
However, like, be realistic.
Yeah. Real
Like,
me versus ideal me. This is where I
yes.
am today.
Yes. Yep.
I'm not going to shame her. I'm going to accept her. And I'm
Mhm.
going to take her to this party and I'm going to take her home
Yes.
when she's ready to go home.
Yes.
And the flip side being the case as well, I've shown up and been like, y'all, I wasn't planning on coming, but at the last second, and I just had to get myself out of the house. I'm so sorry. I've got,
Yeah.
stain on my shirt.
And they're probably like, we don't care. We're glad you're here.
And they mean it.
Yes. Find those people. If that's not their
Yes.
reaction,
Yes.
find different people or say no to that person next time. I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
life is too short.
Yep.
It's too short. And like, this is my last thought on this, just
Mhm.
because I talked to someone about this. If you perpetually find yourself having FOMO because you're not getting invited to things it doesn't matter what the reason is, because you're never going to know. You're never going to live inside these people's heads.
Yep.
You're never going to know. Or if you find yourself at big group settings and no one's talking to you,
Mm-hmm.
show up and be the change. Maybe you need to throw a holiday party.
Right.
Maybe you need to be the one to invite all the misfits together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you be the one to reach out that hand. Be what you want to get in return. If you feel like you're not getting talked to in a big group setting, start a conversation with the other person who's not getting talked to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to, again, like, just that knee-jerk reaction of be of service
Yeah.
if you feel wonky.
Yeah, I went through a period where I was real sad I wasn't getting Christmas cards and I wasn't sending Christmas cards out.
Ooh.
Like, I want you to send one because you want to send me a card, not because I send you a card and you wait to get mine to send me one back.
Ooh.
So I started down the road of Christmas cards, and then you know what? I got real mad that Paul and the kids weren't helping me. You know who gives zero shits about a Christmas card? An 8-year-old boy.
Yes.
Zero shits, like negative shits about Christmas cards.
Mm-hmm.
I was really upset about that.
Uh-huh.
So I stopped doing Christmas cards and I was doing like a digital card and I would post it. And then I was mad that I wasn't getting a lot of feedback on it. And I'm like, you know what? I've got so many feelings about sending Christmas cards.
Yeah, and motives out the wazoo going on
Yes.
here. Yeah.
And just all kind of feelings I was putting on other people that were really
Yeah.
mine. And
Yeah.
so I just set down the Christmas card thing. I miss hearing from people.
Yeah.
And that's just where I am. Like, if I really want to find out where someone is, I just need to be that change and reach out to
Yes.
them separately.
Yes.
And I've done that with some, and some I haven't.
Yeah.
And that's on me. So
And that is okay.
yep.
And yeah, again, like, if you are searching for something that you don't have, most of the time, like, it might be on you to start it.
Yeah.
And I used to fight my sponsor on this all the time. Like, why do I have to be the healthy one in this situation? Or why do I have to always reach out or what? And her question to me is always, why not you?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Damn her.
oh, damn it. Because she's not wrong, Like, why am I choosing this to be a hill I die on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I letting my emotions get riled up in this when I could easily alleviate and fix this situation by being the one to do the thing?
Right.
And it's that will give me what I want,
Right.
or it
Right.
will at least allow me to feel like, wow, okay, I know that I want this. These other people, they're humans too. They might be
Mhm.
waiting for someone to do that for them.
Right.
It is, we're crazy, Susan. in the most loving,
It's a busy place up here, everyone. It's a busy place.
yeah. So yeah, checking your motives. Like, why do I
Yeah.
really want this? Am I being selfish? Could I find a way to not be selfish
Mhm.
and do the thing that I want for someone else? Because that's kind of how the world works.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good one to end on.
Yeah.
Checking your motives and your intention.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I am super glad we're recording this today and that this comes out on Sunday. And I am 100% planning my content over here with this topic of JOMO and FOMO
Mm-hmm.
because today is the 5th year anniversary of me getting sober. Today is
Yes,
December
it
1st is my sobriety date.
is.
And let me tell you what exacerbates JOMO and FOMO is numbing out on life and substances.
Mm.
And healing from that has just been so much joy. This is 100% my moment of joy
Yeah.
because the people in recovery will understand this, but for you normals out there, the slide into surrendering is a dark, dark place.
Yeah.
And the days leading up to my sobriety date are really sucky. Like I think 5 years ago today, I was this, and 5 years ago today, I was that. And it sucked. And the joy I feel today at being sober, and I'm tearing up for those of you on YouTube.
She's
Do you want to
making
zoom in
me
right now?
do it
Super
too.
great. I'm just so grateful for it.
Yeah.
For surrendering to win, as they say. There's all these pithy, sayings in AA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just super grateful for it. And when this episode comes out, that's when I'm picking up my chip in a meeting and being around everybody else that understands that slide.
Yeah.
And sometimes normals come to the meeting and they clap and they don't get it, but they know to cheer me on as well.
Yeah.
And it's just fantastic. And it's out there for everybody who is struggling.
Yes. It is possible. It happens. Long-term recovery is a thing.
Yeah.
The beginning of recovery is a thing, and you don't have to feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
If you are like, wow, my brain works like their brain works, and I'm really upset all the time, and I feel
Right.
depressed, and I do this too much.
Yeah. And alcohol might not be your thing. Your thing might be food. Your
Yep.
thing might be shopping. Your thing might be gambling,
Relationships.
other drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sex,
Yep.
busyness. There is a program for all of us.
Yes, there's Emotions Anonymous.
Is there really?
Girl, yes. I saw one of their
Oh.
boxes one time, and I was like, oh my God. Isn't
Okay.
this all of them?
Yeah.
Isn't
Because
this every single one of them?
I've heard the phrase emotional sobriety.
Yep.
But I didn't know there was a 12-step. All right, come join us. Yeah.
Please, if you
So-
need us, we are here. Yes.
What's your moment of joy this week?
I'm going to make it super surface level because that was beautiful. And I was going to mention your sobriety date. So thank you for cheering yourself on first off,
Yeah.
because that's a big deal. Go Susan. Please leave her all the comments congratulating her because that is a huge deal. Every day is a huge deal. But when you
Yeah.
put all those days together into years, it's a very big deal. I am not giving you OnlyFans vibes. These are new slippers, but they're slipper
Cute.
socks. So they look like socks, but there's an actual memory foam sole.
Oh,
in here.
nice.
And Luke got me these. They're Bombas, which if you want to sponsor us.
really?
Yes.
Well, for us elderly folk out there, tell me about the bottom.
Yes.
Am I going to slide around or am I
No,
going to?
these are grippy
Oh, I see
silicone
the grippy
dots.
Bombas.
Yes.
Yeah, zoom in
Yes.
on that. Yeah.
They're so good. They're amazing. They come in lots of colors and sizes. And
Yeah.
Bombas is, again, not sponsored, but they could. Great company. Very high quality.
Yeah.
I love them very much.
Yeah,
And
I love
that
my
brings me
Bombas
a lot of
socks, too.
joy. Yes. Their socks are amazing. Again, I'm going to reach out to them.
Yeah.
They're not paying us to say this. But yes, the joy of him getting these for me, because I have 4 pairs of slippers and I love slippers of all kinds. The
Yep.
fact that they are a kind that I don't have and I didn't know was ever possible,
Yeah.
that I can curl my feet up with me and still keep my slippers on. 'Cause normally I'm kicking them off
right.
into the abyss.
Yep.
And they're just cool colors. And
They are really cute. I was eyeballing them when I came in.
they remind me of your janky socks.
Yes.
All the colors. I was like, oh,
Yep.
Susan. Oh
That
my
is
God.
super cute. Love
Yes.
it.
So warmth, comfort, all of those things, feeling cared for,
Mm-hmm.
all the good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Well, I want to know, anyone who's listening or watching, what I want you to come find us on social media. Tell us if you say no or yes to something you were in doubt about. If you're on the
Yes.
fence and you decided to say yes or no, come tell us.
Yes.
And you can find me, this is Susan. You can find me at sustainablesue.com or sustainable_Sue on Instagram.
Yes. And leave her all of the anniversary congratulations, because I just love it. That's amazing.
Yeah. Or emojis. I love
Yes,
a string of emojis.
Yeah, just leave her strings of emojis with no explanation and let her find the joy in that. I think that's perfect.
And I'm also 48, so I'm totally going to Google what those emojis mean. So it's fine if you don't keep it clean, but, feel free to make them funny too.
That's perfect. Oh my gosh. So if you're listening and you're sad because you can't see anything, go to youtube.com/ the @ Conscious Contact Podcast. I am at Genay Peavey on Instagram. The podcast is at Conscious Contact Podcast on Instagram. Yeah, tell us about your FOMO or your JOMO, how you figured out which one it was, and like what did you truly get out of this? Because sometimes I think we can feel like we're talking into the void.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to know if you heard it, if you loved it, if you hated it, if you want to punch us, if you want to hug us. Doesn't matter what the feedback is. We just want to know that you're there, that you're listening, that we're interacting with you, because this is a conversation, not just between us, but hopefully with everybody else. So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks, Genay.
thank you.